Hi guys and welcome back to the channel. Today we are taking a look at the latest DLC released by Paradox, Trial of Allegiance. Is it worth buying? And what is new in the DLC and in the latest patch? Now before we start, as usual, if you wish to help the channel grow, please do not forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Also let me know in the comments what you think about this new DLC. Are you excited about it? Do you think it is a good addition to the game? Now before we get into the patch notes, let's take a look at the main features in the DLC, what is really new. To do this we are going to use the HOI4 wiki, and as you can see here we have new focus trees for Brazil, Argentina and Chile, and we also have some minor additions, minor content for Paraguay and Uruguay, so a lot of content focus on South America. We also have some new art, new music and new voiceovers. Now is that all? Yes, for what concerns the DLC exclusive content, that's it. So, is it worth it? Now, my overall answer would be no, it is not worth it. Paradox will be very happy to hear it, of course, but well, since we are still a small channel, we can afford to say it. Now, if we check the Steam reviews, we can see that the reception has not been great so far, but there are a couple of things that we should consider. Now, one of the main complaints is that this DLC is weak, there is not enough new stuff, not enough new mechanics, and this is true, but we must also keep in mind that this is not a proper expansion. Now, this is categorized as a country pack, and country packs are usually focused on certain countries, and they add new focus trees and new content for those countries. Generally speaking, it is not meant to add new features or new mechanics, and its purpose is only to enhance the gameplay of some specific countries. For example, if we take a look at the last DLC, which also implemented a lot of new focus trees, this was considered a main DLC, this was a main expansion. In fact, it introduced the MIOs and the international market. Now, whether those were good additions or not, we'll leave it for another video. Now, for me personally, it is still too early to say whether this was a successful DLC in improving, enhancing the gameplay as these countries or not. What I can say is that in any case I plan to make a country guide for Brazil in the upcoming weeks, so I will be able to tell you more about it in a little while. Now, as for most country packs, this is probably worth getting if you're particularly interested in one of the countries which were affected the most. Otherwise, I would say that you can easily skip on this one. Now that we mentioned the DLC exclusive features, let's take a look at the actual patch notes. So I decided to highlight some of them for you. Up here you can see the exclusive DLC features, we already talked about them. Let's take a look at the gameplay. Now, we will mostly skip the ones that are not highlighted. For example, they added some, they reworked a bit, reshuffled actually the Admiral trait tree, but that's not particularly important. One change, which could be more important, is the change to the Monroe Doctrine. As you probably remember, the USA used to guarantee everyone in South America. That's no longer the case. Let's take a look at the game. So no one in South America is guaranteed by the United States anymore. They don't have any guarantees at the moment. But all of the South American countries have this Monroe Doctrine, which means that the United States, in theory, should protect them from external interferences. We will need to see how this plays out exactly in the game. Again, I will be able to tell you more after I create my country guide for Brazil. But so far, this is one of the major changes, at least to the gameplay in South America. Now, another interesting change to the gameplay is that they changed Ethiopia to be more aggressive initially in the war against Italy. Now, this is particularly interesting for me because Italy is probably my favorite country. As you know, I made many country guides for Italy, step-by-step guides, some of them very recently, so I was curious and I was wondering if this will affect my strategies, if this will actually make Ethiopia more of a challenge for Italy earlier in the game. So let's take a look at Ethiopia and see how this actually changes the war against Italy. Okay, so here we are starting the game as Italy, and we are already at war with Ethiopia, as you know. Now, usually Ethiopia was just waiting for us to attack them, but now, as we unpause the game, you will see that Ethiopia actually starts some offensive actions against us, which is one of the changes they made. And there we go. So they start attacking us in here. So far, this is the only change I could see. And this is actually good for us because Ethiopia has absolutely no chances of defeating us, of course. So what they are doing is they are just wasting their manpower and organization. They will actually make it easier for us to push them when we decide to start our offensive. But there is another change which was not mentioned in the patch notes, and that concerns the war in Ethiopia. Another change that actually makes it much easier for Italy. I will show you what it is in a second. You can see how Ethiopia is going down very quickly, faster than usual actually, but there is a bit of RNG in here as well, but the fact that they attack at first makes it even easier. But that's not all. When you get this message and you get to annex the Sultanate of Ausa, what used to happen is that you simply get this land, but what happens now is in addition to getting the land, you also get 2 additional units in there. So when you complete these, you get these 2 extra units. And these extra units are actually very helpful. First of all, because they are already positioned here. And then, well, in this particular run, Ethiopia is getting destroyed completely. But these 2 units make it a bit easier to conquer Ethiopia. And they were not there before. And that's it. The war is already over. I think this was quite early. Yeah, it's the 1st of March and we defeated Ethiopia. So I'm not exactly sure if this is what they intended to do, but it is now even easier to defeat Ethiopia quickly as Italy. The other changes here are not particularly relevant. As for the balance, there are some changes which could be interesting, like the reduced number of super heavy tanks needed for the support battalion. But actually I never used super heavy tanks. I don't know if you have, but it's quite rare. The reduced IC cost for jet engines could actually be a relevant change. Jet engines currently are particularly bad, so we will need to see if they become a bit more viable, a bit better with this IC cost reduction. To be honest, the IC cost is not the only issue with the jet engines, so we will need to see if that's enough, but I haven't tested them extensively yet. The next change is about Germany. You get 1 less research after researching the or completing the treaty with the USSR focus. I don't think that's a major change. The other stuff down here doesn't seem particularly impactful, but we will need to see. Some potentially interesting changes are in the AI fixes. So first of all, technically they improved. It would seem like they improved the AI way of selecting researchers. We will need to wait and see if this really improved, if this really has an impact on the gameplay. But according to these patch notes, they improved the AI in selecting researchers. They improved Germany in selecting the advisors. And they also discourage the AI from changing production lines too quickly and too often and waste efficiency, so technically the AI should be a bit more efficient in terms of production as well. Now this one is a bit mysterious to me, but maybe it's because English is not my native language. Allies of Britain will now share invasion strategies around Norway, and be more hesitant. I'm not really sure what that means, but we will see. Then they fixed the scope issue for the Italian AI strategies, so I guess that was the main problem with Mussolini. Not sure what this does, we will see. The USA is now more likely to lend-lease to the UK and Soviets. Not probably a big impact in the game. The UK should switch from interwar tanks quicker, so maybe the UK will have slightly better tanks. And then various strategy tweaks for naval invasion behavior around the Mediterranean. Now, as you probably already know, the UK is terrible at managing their fleet, the Royal Navy, the AI I mean. So maybe this will change a bit how they do it in the Mediterranean. Maybe they will become a bit more effective at naval invasions. But I haven't tested this extensively yet, so this is just a preview from the patch notes. And that's all for today's video, guys. Let me know what you think about this DLC, and if you test some of these things that we mentioned, let me know how it goes. I will definitely keep you updated, so don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Do not miss the upcoming country guides. There is Brazil, there is the United States coming, and they were both somehow affected by this DLC. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.